Evening, everyone. We will just start the session officially at around 6:05, just allowing other people who are behind to be able to log into webinar and join us. So we'll start at 6:05. So we left only with 3 minutes to start. So you can so long stretch your legs, try to drink water, make push-ups and just get ready. And if you have got earbuds, just try to use earbuds so that you don't miss out in hearing some of the critical points that we have here today for the webinar. So yeah, so I'll also try to drink a little bit of water. See you now in 2 minutes. Hmm? Hey, is it a good evening or a good afternoon? Well, I'd say good evening because it's 6 o'clock already. Um, Good evening, farmers. Good evening, the industry stakeholders, ordinary people of the country who just interested in the topic for today. Today, your host is me, Ernest Makua, from the Red Meat Industry Services. So today we've got a special topic, a topic of concern for the farmers and the citizens as well of the country is about FMD, the foot and mouth disease. So as the Red Meat Industry Services, we do host a monthly webinars whereby we share the information with the farmers and as well as the industry stakeholders and people who are interested in the information of the red meat industry and so that we can be able to have continuous discussions about some of the topics that are of high interest. So we actually wanted to host first webinar of the year in 2026 in February, as you would have known that some of people were in leaves and so forth, but we saw it important that we host this specific topic in this week because there's a lot of information that are of high interest for particularly the farmers in those ones that we call them the future commercial farmers or small scale farmers in terms of the FMD. So we thought it's very important to host it this week so that we can sort of like sensitize the farmers on the ground as to what are the symptoms or what are the basics of foot and mouth disease so that they can look out for those symptoms and then we can work together as the industry and the farmers and the government, which are the state control or the people who have got authority in terms of dealing with the disease. So as the red meat industry providing the support to the state. So I welcome you all. Without any further waste of time, I would like to share my slide. I would just like to have a thumbs up just to say the slides are visible. One or two or three, just to say you can see the slide in front of you so that I'm not speaking without you seeing the slide. Can we all see the slides? Try to just do this because I don't see any thumbs up. Can we see the slide on the screen? Can I see by show of hands? Thank you, Prudence. Okay, so like I said, the topic for today is the basics of foot and mouth disease. I'm just gonna switch up my camera so that it doesn't disturb you. All of us can just focus on the screen. So please allow me to switch it off. Okay, it's off. So the topic for today, like I said, is basics of foot and mouth disease. So we mainly just gonna speak about the basics, like the topic speaks for itself. It's just gonna be the basics of foot and mouth disease in terms of the symptoms and also the strains that we have in the country, and the reporting, and we're going to also touch a little bit in terms of economic impact of the disease itself, so also so that we can be able to and understand the impact of this disease that we have in the country. So what is foot and mouth disease in layman's terms? So what is foot and mouth disease? The foot and mouth disease is a highly contagious virus and is very infectious, and in mostly cases, well, sorry, I got disturbed. Is a highly contagious virus disease, and it affects the split hoof animals. In this case, we are talking about the sheep, we are talking about the pigs, and speaking about the goats, cattle, and also various wildlife species that are hoof split. So the FMD, the foot and mouth disease, it speaks for itself. That's why we call it foot and mouth disease, because the physical symptoms, most of them, we see them from the foot and also from the mouth. And this disease specifically is caused by the arthrovirus that spread quickly between the heads. In this case, we're talking about the cattle, sheep, and goat. But our main focus today is going to be in cattle because that's the key ways when speaking about the foot and mouth disease in this point in time. So the foot and mouth disease does not affect or is not transmittable to humans, meaning it's not a zoonotic disease. But it can be spread by human. But we'll get to that in a later stage. But the most important thing to note is that the head and the feet are mostly excluded, or they are excluded from the consumption during the FMD control measures, mainly because it increases the symptoms or the viral load, mostly seen orally or on the feed, and therefore it might increase the risk of environmental contamination and onwards transmission, despite no human risk. So the disease is often considered to affect or to be of potential risk to the whole herd of cattle, especially if there is one case or one of the two cattle that were identified to have symptoms of foot and mouth disease, and the whole herd of cattle in most cases may be considered to be potentially infected. And the incubation thereof, it takes about 2 to 14 days, meaning some of the cattle may have FMD disease, but then still in incubation stage within period of 2 to 14 days. So now let's deal with the signs, the symptoms, which is very important for the emerging farmers out there, or for those who didn't know. The foot and mouth disease, like I said, the symptoms, the physical symptoms, most of them, they are seen from the head, from the mouth and the feet. That is why it's named the foot and mouth disease, because it affects most of the time the feet and the mouth physically. So some of the symptoms that you may notice as a farmer is the fever, the blisters, or the sores in the mouth, and in between the feet or in between the hooves. You will see the sores as well. The very painful sores, because and that causes lameness in most cases in animals, and then subsequently that can affect the grazing of cattle, because the cattle now, they feel the pains from the feet, so it's very difficult for them to walk. So they may have loss in terms of weight loss that may be noticeable because of a reduction in terms of consumption of feed and so forth. So and some cattle, especially the dairy cattle, there will be drop in milk production or milk yield. That is because of the source. Remember, the dairy cattle, stress is a very factor in terms of drop in milk production, and part of the attributes, it's attributed to the reduction in terms of feed consumptions and so forth because of that. But one of the most important thing that you must also be aware of it is that the virus can be present in milk, in semen, for up to 4 days before the animals start showing clinical signs of the disease. So it's very important. So it's very important for the farmers to know that. But then now, physically, like I said, as you can see from your screen there, the physical, let's speak about the mouth. You'll start seeing salivation, over salivation, or drooling, or the form in advanced stage. That's when you realize that the FMD now is now in a stage whereby you need to, by by all means, report it to the authorities so that the samples can be taken and it can be declared whether you are head of cattle are positive or not. And on the legs, the feet, like I said, lameness is one of the symptoms that you may begin to see. Inside the mouth, you will start seeing the blisters on the tongue, wounds inside the mouth, like I said, in between the hooves, like you see on your bottom screen there, the legs in between the hooves. You start seeing the wounds in between the hooves, and then therefore it's very difficult in most cases for the cattle to walk. Hence, the lameness then comes on a later stage, and it affects the whole production. You can see how bad it looks there on your screen, on your right side of the screen, like the tongue. Look at those sores. It's very difficult. You can imagine how difficult it is for the animal to eat with those sores. So it's very, very, very bad. The most important means of spread, sources of infection, is animals brought into the farm. So is infected animal brought into the farms. This is very important, because if you there's suspicions of foot and mouth disease, let's say you have never suspected any case. So under normal circumstances, it's very important when you buy new stock in your in your farm, to do isolation first, a period of about 28 days, so that you can be able to spot some of the symptoms of diseases, not only the FMD in this case and other diseases, so that you can be able to tell whether you can start introducing them to your head. So it's very important. And by so saying, you must also be aware of the areas that are affected, so that you don't buy livestock from those areas. That is why there's restrictions of livestock movement in those areas, because then they will spread, or the livestock that are affected may spread the disease from those areas to areas that are not affected yet. And the infection can also be airborne spread. Like I was telling my colleague this other time that a vet told me that the FMD virus can stay for a period of about up to 3 days on your throat. And then within that 3 days, if you were to go and if you were in an infected area, or if you were in an infected farm, and then you live within that period and then go to another farm and then breathe just next to animals that were not infected, you may spread the virus of FMD to those specific cattle. So it's very important to be under quarantine and to apply the quarantine measures in terms of visiting, because then thereof you may spread the virus as well as human. The contamination of unanimated objects, very important. The dry fecal materials can also be able to spread the disease. The winter slurry, the soil surface, the urine, the feet, the contaminated vehicle, very important. These ones, they can be very popular because there's always a lot of vehicles that are driving from one farm to another, in some instances without any biosecurity measures, like the spraying of those vehicles to ensure that there's no contamination or spreading of viruses from one farm to the other. The vehicles and the clothing, the human clothing. That is why in some instances in other farms or other commodities, like your poultry, your piggery, you're always going to have shower in and shower out. That is to prevent the spread of disease. So the clothes or the PPEs that you wear as farmers or people who work into the farm, they can also easily spread this disease to other farms. The equipments, the livestock holding areas, also they can have effect. In this instance, the winter slurry, the virus can stay there for a period of about 6 months, and then dry fecal material for 14 days, and the urine for about 3 days, soil surface for 28 days, and lastly, in feet can stay for a period of about about 20 weeks, and also in hay. So it's very important for us as people, not only the farmers, because as people can also work in between the farms. So to be aware of those, so that we can help one another in terms of ensuring that we minimize the spread of this disease, as is disease of high economic impact. I'm sure most of us knows that. So let's look into provinces now. So how many provinces are, as we speak today, are affected of FMD? So we have like reports that were made in the previous weeks that Limpopo was also affected. We have Gauteng, which was also affected, Mpumalanga. We have the Free State as well as being one of the provinces that are affected. And we also have KZN as the epicenter. We've known KZN to be affected for a very long time, for a very long period of time. And we've got the Eastern Cape as well. And we have we saw an isolated introduction of FMD cases in few weeks ago in the past in Western Cape. That is just an isolated case. And the Northern Cape remain one of the only province that we haven't yet heard of a positive case from that side. Unless you can tell me otherwise, because this thing is spreading in a very high speed. So I could be saying this now, but you find that there was a case that was reported just an hour ago or so forth. So when I was doing these slides, I didn't hear of any in Northern Cape. So, but another important thing that we must note down is the strains. The FMD has strains. So there are different strains of FMD. So with provinces that have got variety of strains that are affecting them. So like, for example, in South Africa, we have got 3 strains, meaning 3 serotypes. In layman's terms, 3 types. So 3 different types of FMD, variety of FMTs. So we've got the SAT1, we've got the SAT2, and the SAT3. So in these instances, so let's start with KZN. KZN is reported to be affected by the SAT1 and SAT2. Gauteng also have SAT1 and SAT2. Mpumalanga, SAT2 was also reported in that province, and then with SAT2 and SAT3 also being reported in Eastern Cape and Limpopo. So let's look into the most dominant serotypes, being the serotype 2, which is found in Gauteng province, in KZN, in the Free State province, in Mpumalanga, in Northwest, and also in the Western Cape, and SAT1 being in both KZN and also Gauteng, and the SAT3 being in both Limpopo and the Eastern Cape. So now let's talk about the impact of FMD on young animals to start with. So you may have seen some of the circulating news that the FMD is very, very well. It affects. It has high mortalities in younger. Let's speak about here cattle in calves, but also it can also be very deadly in small sheep and piglet as well. So how does that affect this specific age group? So what actually happens in FMD positive calves? In young calves, FMD targets the heart muscles. So that is why most of the time you therefore hear about the tiger heart disease associated with the FMD affected calves. In this case, it causes acute viral myocarditis. That myocarditis it is called. So, and in most cases, in postmortem cases, the heart shows the pale streaks, the stripping, and also the patchy degenerations. So therefore, that is why it affects much younger calves in cattle. So you'll see a little bit of higher mortality in young calves than it is in matured cattle. So let's talk about the economic impacts of the FMD. Most of you may know that FMD has serious negative impacts on the economic of the country, as it hinders the international and the local trade in animals, animal products, but also in related products, that therefore leading to enormous financial losses. So the farmers lose income, number one, due to weight losses of the animals because of the lamenesses, because of the loss of appetite, because of the pains that the cattle feels on the feet, and then subsequently that affect the working ability of those specific cattle, and then it limits the consumption of food, and that leads to drop in milk production, and the secondary effects of the FMD, meaning that other disease, they may have secondary problems due to other diseases that affect the FMD positive cattle. So that is another factor. And farmers lose income due to those factors or those elements. So it's very bad in that sense. And so in this instance, the control and quarantine and vaccination practices carry a higher financial cost for government and the industry as well, because then there has to be more spending in terms of procurement of vaccines to ensure that as many cattle are vaccinated so that we can be able to cap the spread of this disease, so that we can also go back to trading with the international community and be able to boost our GDP as well. So the national economic impact, like I said, is very prominent. As you know, that the agriculture contribution to GDP may be weakened during the prolonged outbreak of FMD. And the emergency disease control measures increase in government, like I said, and it may cost both the government and the industry. So meaning more finances or more budget, it will be now channeled towards procurement of vaccines, just to ensure that as many animals now are vaccinated. Dealing with an outbreak of FMD disease. Let's talk about reporting, because this is very important. Report suspected case to the state. So just to be clear, the FMD is a state controlled disease. So us as the Red Meat Industry Services, the RMIS provide the support to the state in terms of finding solutions to cap the FMD, and also to ensure that it doesn't spread further to other areas. So we're just providing the support to the state. So once you suspect a symptom of FMD disease in your farm or in one of your animals, you must, within 24 hours, report it to your nearest state vet or local state vet or animal health technician, so that they can escalate the matter, so that samples can be drawn from those specific cattle, and tests can be made just to confirm whether that is FMD or not. Rather report the wrong cases than not reporting at all, because waiting to report might cause this further spread of the disease to other areas as well. So laboratory confirmation is essential for the diagnosis of the disease, and then the quarantine measures, if positive, will be implemented as well. Then the prevention is mainly based on biosecurity measures. So as farmers, you need to, especially now, you need to be aware of where you buy new stock. Because if you just buy new stock from any area, they may introduce the FMD in your farm. So it's very important. The movement of cattle is very important. So don't just go out and buy cattle, especially now, because then if you go in red zones areas or in areas whereby there's FMD and you just go there and buy any cattle, after a few weeks or a few days or so forth, you may start seeing the symptoms of disease in your farm, and therefore your farm will be under quarantine. So report any suspicious case to the departments as soon as possible, and in your area, try to ensure that you put a strong biosecurity control. You must use the F10s to spray all the cattle, the food bath, and ensure that you keep record of the ins and the outs in terms of movement of your farm, whether be of people or be of cattle, so that you minimize the spread of that disease. So the Red Meat Industry Services, the RMIS, we have got an operational center So that was established, which has the real-time digital and telephone-based reporting system, mainly to track, map, and respond to FMD infections in real time. This is mainly to speed up or to be able to assist in terms of reporting of the FMD. So how does this work out? In this case, if you don't know who's your local state vet or animal health technician, you can go to a RMIS website and find our contact details immediately and contact us. We have got a team of operational center who are dealing with matters of FMD, who will report immediately and try to assist you in terms of finding your local vet so that the matter can be reported immediately and the sample can be drawn. But it's very important to also be able to also plot your area so that it can also appear in real time on our map, so that as and when you want to see where or which areas that are affected by FMD, you can be able to see, you can see those red dots there. It shows you which areas of the country that are affected, particularly the towns, the specific towns or specific villages that are affected or that are FMD positive, so that everyone can see in terms of movement that this is a areas that are affected, and people who are buying cattle, they can also avoid buying from those areas, because then they will spread the FMD further to other areas that are not affected, which is important to try to keep it to one area so that it can be under control. So the other important point here is to just underscore the facilities that are FMD approved. The facilities that are approved for controlled slaughter of FMD positive or vaccinated cattle. So we have got, not every abattoir can be able to slaughter FMD positive or FMD vaccinated cattle. There are specific abattoirs that are FMD approved or FMD certified to slaughter those specific FMD vaccinated or positive cattle. So for your information, if you are in KZN, there's Bosco Meat, Glencoe Abattoir, which is in Newcastle. There's also Karen Beef farming, formerly known as Triple A, that is in Pietermaritzburg. And there's also Meadow Meats Abattoir in Vryheid. And those ones who are Eastern Cape, there's Claremont Abattoir in East London, and there's also Red Line Abattoir in Oyster Bay for those who are in Eastern Cape. And then for those in Northern Cape, Northwest, there's Doornplaat Abattoir in Brits. And there's also Karen Beef Abattoir in Mpumalanga. Those ones are in Abattoir in Balfour. And in Gauteng, we have got Karen Beef Abattoir as well in Springs, and we also have Vereeniging Abattoir in Vereeniging. And in Limpopo, we have got Palavora Abattoir, which is based in Palavora. And for those ones, lastly, in the Free State, you have got Sternik Abattoir just in Kronstadt. So this is for your information so that we can be able to understand that not all the abattoirs can be able to slaughter FMD vaccinated cattle or FMD positive cattle. So you need to, in terms of procedures or protocols to follow prior to slaughter or submission or prior to planning of slaughter, you need to contact your nearest vet so that they can advise you in terms of protocols to follow, in terms of when, in terms of waiting periods, and so forth, so that we can do it right, we can do it correctly. So you don't just wake up in the morning and then and put in your cattle in the trailer and then drive to Karen Beef Abattoir and say, I want to slaughter. So it doesn't work like that. It needs preparations, it needs protocols in place so that everything is recorded and is accounted for. So in conclusion, foot and mouth disease remains one of the greatest threats to livestock health and also to farming as a whole, and also an agricultural sector in the country. As you have known that the livestock sector contributes very high in terms of the GDP, agricultural GDP of this country. So it's very important. The livestock commodity, it contributes very highly. So the food and mouth disease remain one of the greatest threat. So that's why it's very important for us to work together as farmers, as industry stakeholders, as government, and everyone else in the country, so that we can be able to see and to implement all the measures that are in place to curb and control or prevent the spread of FMD disease. So by strengthening the prevention, uh, investing in biosecurity, and supporting coordinated responses, the industry, the government, the agricultural sector, and the country in large can be able to reduce the outbreak of FMD. So protecting animals against the foot and mouth disease is of high importance, very essential. This is for safeguarding the farmers, most importantly, the trade, and also the national food security, because the trade is scrutinize all the countries that are affected, that are FMD affected. So that is why it's very important to work together in ensuring that the FMD is kept. It's very important. So thank you very much. I would like to thank all of you for listening to me for the past 30 to 38 minutes, trying to provide technical information of especially with the symptoms of FMD, also with the strains that we have in the country, and biosecurity measures that should be in place, so that all of us can be able to curb the spread of FMD in the country, so that eventually our country in future can be declared FMD-free country, and then we can trade with the international community, and we can be able to sustain to have sustainable industry, and be able to farmers going back to being profitable in their own enterprises. So mainly is for you to be able to be profitable. Remember, I spoke about the economical losses of the FMD. So profitability is affected, and we are very well aware of that. So by so saying, just on the score, I'm going to open it up for technical discussions. And for those ones who are vets in across the country, if you joined in here, if you've got information, please let's open it up for discussions. You can share other information that I may have omitted from the slides or from the discussions, just from the start of the conversation, so that we can also get a broader understanding of what is foot and mouth disease, and how do you spot it, how it's spread, so that all of us here can learn, and we can be able to assist one another. Please, people with expertise, you more than welcome to add on top of what I've already alluded to, so that we can all of us be able to learn. I think I've mentioned from the beginning of the presentation or of the webinar that I'm going to open it up for discussion towards the end, but also if you are shy, because not all of us are that willing to talk. No, you can just put in your question in the box. Then I will read through the question, and we can discuss it and see how we go about it, and we can shed a light in some of the people who are in attendance here. Remember, this webinar will also be placed in the Red Meat Industrial Services YouTube channel. For those ones who will not be able to be part of this tonight, you can still go back and listen to it. And that is why I'm saying, if you've got expertise and you've got other information to add, please do so that people who are going to listen to this recording in the near future, they can sort of like be able to gain something from this as of FMD is the key weight in the agricultural sector now, as you would have known or picked up from the media and so forth. So it's very important that we share our insight. So now the platform is yours. I've seen Tau, Abal, Prudence, I see your hands is up also. And then Sipamo, I see also your hand is up. So I'm gonna go in sequence. I'm going to ask you, Abel Dow, to make your contribution. Oh, Prudence hand is down. Okay. And then I'm going to start with you, Abel. Please unmute your mic and then just put in your comment, or if it's a question orally, so that we can all of us be able to have a discussion. Abel, please try to unmute yourself. You can unmute your mic and submit your question orally. Abel, platform is yours. Allow mic. Okay, I'm allowing your mic. Try to unmute yourself, Abel. Abel, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I think we still have technical glitches with Abel. I'm gonna move on to Mukadi. Mukadi, I'm now giving you an opportunity because I see Abel is unable to unmute himself. Let's see if you can unmute yourself and make contribution. Mukadi? Oh, Mukadi is unable to unmute himself, I assume. Please let me know in the box if you are able to.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, colleagues. Hello, am I audible?
I'm not sure who's talking. Oh, it's you, Mukadi. Okay,
it's
yes,
Mukadi.
yes, please.
Yes,
Go
finally,
ahead.
I was unmuted from your end. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ernest Makua, for the wonderful presentation and very insightful, as this, I think we can declare it as a national crisis because it's affecting everyone, one way or the other. So my question goes like, because from the clinical signs of FMD, it really resembles other diseases. So is it advisable for a farmer to treat the clinical signs based on what they are seeing instead of FMD, because it's assigned to be treated by veterinarians? So the farmer, are they allowed to treat clinical signs like those of black quarters, or they have to wait for veterinarians? And if veterinarians are not accessible, what do farmers have to do? Because they are getting loss from their animals, as it's already happening. Thank you.
Thank you,
hello, sir. Can I speak?
Yes, you can. Who's
Yeah,
speaking? Just introduce you.
It's Tau.
Hey, Tau, sorry. So yes, finally.
How are you? Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Yes.
And the information that you shared to us today as farmers. What I would like to include in your presentation is whereby a farmer get a dead cattle on his farm. The veterinarian team told us that we have to take that cow and take it to disposal place. And we should also use a line where that cattle was lying, so that we can disinfect the area, so that other animals will never get infected. So my problem is one. As you see now, we are at a community stage. We are living in the community stage, and the community is near the location. There are those people that are hunting at night. So those people that are hunting at night, they go to one farm to another farm, like field to field, because they are hunting, but they are not using a biosecurity. So we cannot control that measure. Even if we try to stop them, we can't, because the police SPCA doesn't allow us or act in that matter. So as a communities people, we are gonna lose a lot. We're gonna lose, even we cannot sell by now. But people in communities in location, they are busy selling their cows, they are busy trading, but we got a huge problem of foot and mouth. We are trying to fight this disease, but we got challenges via commonage and government and SPCA. So if you can work together with SPCA and veterinarian and farmers, then we can have a better solution. Then we can reduce the spread of foot and mouth. Because we can see now in commonage, we can find a dead cow lying there maybe 2 to 3 days. The owner is not there. The owner even is not aware about the cow, the cattle. You run to municipality, there's a dead cow there. They have to borrow us a TLB or something to pick up that cow and throw it to the dumping site so that it can be there and we can use a line. But we don't have a TLB. We don't have a transport. The municipality doesn't have a TLB to take the cow. So the owner should try by all means to remove the cattle there, but there's no money. It doesn't have a vehicle, maybe. Let me make an example. So we try to assist those farmers, but now we have a problem of intervention from the government. Even now, we cannot sell, we cannot buy. If I'm not going to be able to sell, we have to isolate our animals. If I see an infected animal, I have to isolate it. But how can I isolate my animals whereas I don't have money to feed that animal? Even in communities, I don't have a space that I'm calling this one is my land, this is my field. I can isolate my cow in this area. So you see, that's why all cows in communities are infected. We don't have a spare field where we can move our cattle to isolate them. So that's the thing, that the problem that the challenges that we are facing, people in communities. I don't know how red meat can interfere or try to sort it out, because we try to discuss it with people from Department of Agriculture. We try to environmental affairs and all the women settlement, but we don't have a spare field. We don't have that money to isolate the cows so that we can buy food for them, where else we isolated them. So some people, they leave their cows because they don't have money to buy feeds for them. So we are still struggling with that. But we have vaccinated up to so far. We have vaccinated maybe, let me say, half of the common age. Then we have a shortage of vaccine. We are still waiting for vaccine to come. Then the veterinarian can come and vaccinate all the cattle in our area.
Yeah. Very important.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Tau, for your very brave and important contributions. I think you are just venting out some of the frustrations that farmers are facing, and yourself also. Think, I will just, in response to what you are saying, I noted down, as you know, that we providing support to the states, so to see how best can we support in terms of this one. So it's noted down, and I'm sure you spoke for maybe some of the farmers in terms of frustration. The first question that I got from Mukadi, before I go to Mukadi, thank you. Also, you made a very good contribution. Also, it's very important in terms of isolation. In terms of also, it's very important to isolate animals with symptoms, because then thereafter, if not, the spread might go further. So, Mukadi, your question is very, very good question. To remind those ones who forgot, Mukadi was asking for those animals that have FMD or symptoms of FMD. Is that possible, or is that even allowed to so long treat the symptoms? In these instances, I'm sure Mukadi is referring to the blisters in between the legs and in the sores and the mouth, on the tongue, and so forth, on the pictures that we've already seen. So is that allowed? I've seen people in social media, some of them, they are using some treatment, medication and for FMD and so forth. is you just have to report FMD. Mkadi, you just have to report it to the state, and the state then they will take measures, and the most important thing is the vaccine, and then after vaccinating, the wounds will heal on their own. So this is the protocol that is in place at this point in time. I'm not aware of any medication that can be used for FMD at this point in time. It is only the vaccine. So yeah, the vaccine, report it with all the challenges that you have, and then thereafter the vaccination must take place, and then after vaccination, I'm sure, and then some of the symptoms or the healing will take place on a later stage, and then the animal will heal on its own. Mukadi, I think you have got a follow-up question. If you do, please, you can unmute yourself, and then also we give other people opportunity. I'm sure some other people also want to ask questions or add comments. Last opportunity for you, Mukadi.
Okay, thank you, sir. The follow-up is based on the inaccessibility of the state veterinarian. What do the farmer have to do? Because we all know that there's shortage of such people. So in an area where you can see clinical signs whereby, okay, this is FMD, but how do I reach the office? If the office is not reachable, alternative B.
Yes, just on that, Mukadi, on the presentation, I also mentioned that the red meat industry services, we provide the support to the states. So in terms of reporting of FMD disease, so in this case, if you are indeed struggling to get hold of the state in terms of reporting, you can then rather contact us as the industry. Then we will assist you in terms of reporting the case to the state. We'll find them. We'll find you. You just have to tell us where you are, nearest town, and so forth. And then we have got means to find the specific people in your area to come and assist you from the state, because we providing support. But that is one part of that. But the other part of that is we also want to plot it on our real-time map, the FMD map that we have, so that people can see in real time the outbreak from different locations with the red dots that you have seen on my slide, so that in terms of movement and people buying and so forth, such places can be avoided, and people who went there, they can also be able to put themselves under quarantine, because like I said, the virus can stay for up to 3 days in your throat, and you can breathe it directly to other animals within that period of 3 days, and then you can also speed up the spread of the FMD. So yeah, in that instances, please try to call us, and we can assist accordingly. And I'll just share the last slide for those ones who didn't see, so that you can record the numbers, or otherwise you can always go back to, you can just go to Google and say Red Meat Industry Services. You will find our contacts there, and then you can just contact the RMIS Operational Center. Then we can assist in terms of reporting. And then I'm just going to try to move. Dau, I saw your hand is up again, but I'm just going to give other people opportunity to speak. Mbulelo, your hand has been up for the longest time. But before I go to Mbulelo, Dau, please just in 5 seconds, just try to make your comment so that we give other people opportunity to speak as well.
Okay, let me make a shorter comment. You said that the foot and mouth can last on your throat, then you can breathe it in 3 days. Now the government is implementing the land care project, which is going to take out the alien plant in the field. So those people, they are going to spread the disease. Why don't government take that of that project, then buy vaccine for us people who are here in community, so that we can vaccinate our cattle, than putting our animals in danger? Because now we are going to face a danger. They're gonna start a project of taking out the alien plant, but those people that are going to our field, they are going to take out the alien plant, because they said alien plant is taking water, is limiting the grass, is affecting cows' ice and stuff. So can you please try as Red Meat communicate with MEC and Department of Agriculture to stop the project and take that money into the account so that we can have a vaccine and see stop this disease. Thank you very much, sir. That's my last comment.
Comment noted. Bulelo, now is your opportunity to contribute to the webinar. I'm just going to unmute your mic, and then thereafter you are unmuted, you can unmute yourself.
Thanks, Ernest, and good evening, everyone. So thanks for the phenomenal presentation, the difficult times. But my question, actually a few, and I'll go straight to the point. So you've mentioned different strains of the disease, and I'm curious to understand what are the variables of these strains, as it relates also to the appropriate vaccination. Secondly, I think also at the beginning of your presentation, you've mentioned that it affects all hoofed animals. However, the focus at the moment is on cattle. And my question is why? Thirdly, it relates to reinfection. So does the virus do reinfect the animal? And lastly, I think it's basically rehash the frustrations that the colleagues have shared around the strategy as outlined by Steenhuisen, and also the journey that we will obviously have to take. And in the meantime, that we are suffering as we are suffering. But just to rehash that, I think there's overwhelming public outcry as far as that is concerned. So I don't know, Ernest, if you were able to get my question. I think the last question which I've asked is the impact on the pregnant animals. What and how does that look like? As I appreciate that you've mentioned that it do affect young animals or severely. However, what is that impact clinically on the pregnant animals? So thank you. Ernest, I think you're on mute. Just unmute yourself.
Thank you, Bulelo. Thank you very much. That was very important. Just to for those ones who don't remember, I'm just answering the question of variables from Bulelo. We have got strains in the country. There's 3 strains of FMD that we have at this point in time. So the first strain is, we have got SAT1, we have got SAT2, we have got SAT3. The SAT means serotypes, right? So is all of them, they are FMD, but in different formations, right? So all of them, they are found in the country. And then there are some of those that are found in other provinces and others are not in other provinces, but there's always a chance of spreading different strains in other countries. So the variables. So, and then we have got other strains like that are not found in South Africa, is like the strains O, which are mostly found in Asia, in Middle East, in South America, that are highly contagious. So some of them, they've got high mortality. And then we also have strain A, that is found in Asia also and in South America, and causes severe outbreak and multiple subtypes. And then you also have the strain C, so which is historically found in Europe, historically found in South America and other parts of Africa. But it's now rare, but the last major outbreak of C type was in decades ago. So we have got different types of strains that are found, that are there in different parts of the world. But at this point in time in the country, in South Africa, we've got strains SAT-A, SAT-1, SAT-2, and SAT-3 in South Africa at this point in time. So those are the strains that we have. And then the other question about the pregnancy, say surely the pregnancy might be affected. Some cattle might abort because now the females are sick, and also they are no longer eating the way that they were supposed to eat, and so forth, and due to lameness, due to loss of appetite, the weight loss. Remember, when animals loses weight, that also automatically affect the pregnancy also, and also can affect the calving process as well. Well, in terms of that, then yes, the pregnancy to a certain degree is also affected, but also the conception as well thereof. And then the other part of it is you spoke about if I remember very well, about the other species, why the focus now is more on cattle is because the rate in which it's spread at this point in time is highly in cattle species. It doesn't mean that it cannot spread to other species, but the strains that we have at this point in time, they are highly spread in cattle. That is why the focus is mainly on cattle. So I hope I answered all of your questions, but if not, please forgive me. I'm going to try to move on to other person because we're trying to not make the video too long. We're already now on 2 hours. So we're going to try to limit it to less than 2 hours, 10 minutes. So, and not, now I'm going to move on to, I don't know who came first in terms of sequence, but I'm going to go to Luyanda. Luyanda, I'm going to give you an opportunity to contribute. Don't be shy to put in comments or the contribution in sense of providing information so that other people can also be able to learn. You are unmuted. Now you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Ernest. I think today's session has really been fruitful. It kind of gives me hope. I'm farming in Southern Free State, and I think listening to Dao speaking, it kind of gives me hope to learn that in other parts of the country, government has started to vaccinate. And I was also having a discussion with other colleagues or maybe other listeners of your presentation in the chat box who are indicating that they've witnessed animals which have recovered. And so it tells me that this thing can be overcome. Now, I know we people who are farming in the communities, so we are really, I know there's a big gap between us and government, and we don't know what to expect from government because we have not been engaging with them. They've not been supporting us much. Now, in the case where my animals, maybe I'm suspecting this FMD based on the symptoms, and I have to tell the government officials what's their roles when they come to our farms. Is it to support us up until the animals have fully recovered, or they're just coming in to destroy the animals so that they can prevent the spread? I mean, when we watch on TV, we see most people's animals being buried. So the only thing that comes to our mind is that if we call government comes in and then destroy the animals. And after that, there's no compensation. We have lost completely. So if you do know, maybe by chance, can you advise what is government's role when they come to us? Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much, Luyanda, for your contribution, and so also to your questions. I'm going to well, I cannot speak on behalf of government, unfortunately. Like I said before, that we are providing support to the states as an industry, because the FMD is a state-controlled disease. So as the industry, we cannot speak on behalf of government, but what we can do is to provide the support. So the support in terms of ensuring that find better solutions and also report the disease much quicker so that we can be able to cap the virus as it affects the ruminants. So as the agents of the livestock industry to assist, but it's important also to note some of the concerns that we have as farmers. So all I can say is that your comments are noted, and I will be able to also share them with the RIMS, the Red Meat Industry Services team, so that they can also be included in some of the meetings, so that the solution is found, so that everyone can be able to get assistance. Remember, it's not only about you, it's about the industry. So if you are affected wherever you are, it put the risk on all of us. So yes, your question is noted, and the solution, well, the comments will also be mentioned to RMIS team. So by so saying, I'm gonna go to the next, to our next.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you.
Thank you, Leander. Fana, I'm just going to try to unmute you. I'm going to ask you to try to be quick as possible so that the video doesn't become too long for people to watch online in future. So please, short and sharp. Unmute yourself, Fana. Fana, can you unmute yourself? It seems as if, like, in the interest of time, is Fana there? Fana? Yeah, your line is crackling. Can you please speak a little bit clear? Okay.
Okay, Chair. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, now you're audible.
Oh, okay. Now I'm audible.
Fan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm experiencing some technical problem, Chair. I don't know if you can hear me.
Fana, I'm going to advise that maybe you drop in your comments, because we also struggling to hear you on our side. I'm just going to move to the next person. It's Mwelezi. Please advise the farmers and people who are attending here. I'm just going to unmute you, Mwelezi. Okay, I just muted him because I could hear that he's still talking in the background. Let me allow Mwelezi to speak and advise the farmers.
Mr. Makau, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay,
greetings to all who are joining in. Mr. Makau, I won't be long. I want to shoot straight. Mr. Makau, firstly, let me address the two gentlemen from the common ages, namely Mr. Tau and the other gentleman. I will not expose myself, but what I can say is, having worked with common age farmers, it's a challenge, because most of our common age farmers don't want to take accountability. You will teach them about biosecurity measures, particularly in the Free State. I've worked in the Free State, Eastern Free State, and especially when you go in the Tabancho area, farmers ignore biosecurity advice. Farmers ignore isolation advice. Farmers ignore even contacting their local extension officers whenever going to purchase new breeding stock. And this thing of foot and mouth disease, I think it is unfair to try and say the government must intervene 100%. Because if we look at farming as a business, or take it in that context, you as the farmer, you are responsible because you are the manager of those animals. You manage the animals. Your disease control, your animal health control has to be in place. Your production plan has to be in place. And these are some of the key things that I think most of our upcoming farmers or emerging farmers are ignoring. When you look at even in common ages, to show you the how how some of our farmers are treating government officials from the agricultural sector. You will advise them on stocking density and stocking rate, or even explain to them how carrying capacity works. They will ignore that. Now we are faced with the challenge of foot and mouth disease. You will tell them, please avoid buying a bull or ewes from a certain area, or if you are interested in buying this, please contact me first. They won't do that. Now, one of the things that I can allude to as to why the Northern Cape has been, so lucky with this is because we have proactive extension officials. I haven't had one farmer from the common age mention an extension practitioner, but they will tell you about the veterinary services or a vet. But they are animal health technicians that are available at their disposal. There's the extension official who is available at their disposal, whom they can make use of. So I think to a large extent, farmers need to take accountability as well to say they contributed to this problem, largely so by ignoring biosecurity protocol. You have farmers in the common age areas who are sharing employees or workers or helpers. When they're advised to say, look, each and every farm must have its own PPE, or each and every camp within the common age must have its own PPE, or if you are close to each other, rather please disinfect before the person comes to the next camp. If you are entering the common age, please disinfect your tires. Simple thing. Formalin, I think it's formalin 1%. And even any chlorine-based disinfectant will do the work of killing most of this bacteria and stuff. But farmers won't listen. Now, again, I hear farmers saying that they are waiting for government to come with vaccines. You ask farmers to buy simple vaccines, Calpivex, lumpy skin vaccines, botulism vaccines. They will tell you they don't have money. But the livestock is there. Whose responsibility is it at the end of the day to take care of this animal? Is it government or is it the farmer? And lastly but not least, Mr. Makua, hey, I had a lot of things that I wanted to say. It is time that we start familiarizing ourselves with the law in terms of the Animal Disease Control Act. Which diseases are controlled, which diseases are notifiable. Secondly, we must understand that the government coffers is not only for agriculture. There are a lot of things that take priority number one on the list of the responsibilities that the government has to dispense funds to. The gentleman, Mr. Tau, was speaking about land care. I felt very hurt because if he understood the importance of land care project, it is mainly there to preserve the groundwater systems. South Africa is a water scarce country. So in terms of priority, where does that fall now? You see, should we now say we are going to help farmers and ignore water, and then 2 years down the line we are faced with a water crisis because of invasive alien species that are drinking our groundwater systems and fresh water sources? Farmers must take responsibility. That's all I'm saying. And I don't mean this with a sad heart, because also to this problem is a socio-economic element. And Mr. Makua, farmers, I am sorry, I don't mean to sound like a bad person, but all I'm saying is that it takes two to tango. You must account as the farmers, including myself, and the government must also account. But together we must come up with an amicable solution to say, you did wrong here. Stick to biosecurity measures. Stick to stocking density measures. In common ages, you must work together. There is no other way of controlling this. You must work together. Thank you, Mr. Makua.
Thank you very much, Moeletsi, for your advices. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I've seen people clapping hands for you. I'm having problems with Fana here. I think his mic. Let me mute him again. Yes, I've seen people clapping hands for you. I've seen Hope clapping hands, and his hand was up, now he's down. I think Kilakaliu is like he agrees entirely with you. That's why he dropped down his hand. So whatever that you said, you covered what he or she was supposed to say. And then I'm going to take a last comment or last question, and that will be coming from Letabo Mapotoma. So Letabo Mapotoma, well, I'm going to unmute you, and then you can unmute yourself and make a comment or any question. So you are the last person to speak. Letabo Mapotoma, can you hear us? Last try to Letabo Mapotoma. Yes.
Afternoon, guys. Actually, my comment is similar to that of Muelezi. I will say this in relation to the people in rural areas. I'm from the rural area myself. Previously, there were camps, there were fences, barriers, demarcations where people are supposed to put their cattle, and then also land for farming for fresh produce and what. The issue now, if you look at those areas, there are no more fences, and they were taken us by us people. As farmers, we know very well that that fence was there for us. When people take this fence, we don't say anything. We keep quiet. We need that fence now for biosecurities. We don't have it, and then we're gonna say, no, the department is not doing what and what. The department is not doing what and what. Farmers, let's be active. Land care is there for us, but we are not there for them. Most of those fences were put there by land care, but today they are no longer there. In areas like Mukopane, those fences are there, but in some areas they're still there. When you go to ZB, people took those fences. For what? You don't know. So guys, these are our livestock. This is for us, not for the government. If we don't act, obviously there's nothing the government can do, because they are trying to assist, but we are not meeting the government halfway. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah, you've said it better than well, you've said it well, I'd say. But what I want to say in summary of what has been said, the comments that has been made, the most important thing here, I think, at this point in time is working together. Is in my language, normally we say, so I understand that most of the farmers, especially from communal areas, some of them, they are very old people, our parents, and some of them maybe they lack information there and there. But I think if we can be able to work with the local animal health technician, I think we can do a better job. You need to know who's your local animal health technician, so that you can be able to call them in some instances whereby you need animal health, maybe advice, or you have got a symptom that you need to report, rather report wrong symptom than not reporting at all. So it's very important. We need to work together so that we can be able to fight and cap the spread of foot and mouth disease. So it's very important so that we can be able to achieve that as an industry, as government, as a sector, and we can be able to go back to exporting our red meat product to other countries so that our GDP can be boosted and so forth. So it's very important. Just in highlight of what has been discussed, I think that was important to mention. But also just to highlight that for those ones who maybe you're struggling to get in contact with your local vet or local animal health technician, you can always reach out to RMIS. We can assist you in terms of identifying your local vet or local animal health technician, particularly animal health technicians, because they are they are always available, or they are always there to assist you before you can contact the people that work hand in hand with you in most cases. Like ourselves, we are providing support. We're working hand in hand with government to assist in terms of ensuring that the reporting has been made or is made on time within 24 hours. And also we can be able to find solution together in this collaboration. In my language, we say, so I'm leaving you le magala with this fire. Keep it burning. Whatever that you have learned from this information session, try to implementing it by checking, monitoring your livestock and check for those symptoms of illnesses, and so that you can report them to your state vet, to your local animal health technician, so that we can be able to move with ease and all of us can be able to track down the disease itself. So I would like to say ke a leboga, but just before I say that, I say goodbye. Remember, this specific session will be posted tomorrow on the Red Meat Industry Services YouTube channel, so that on your spare time, or you can share it with those ones who were not part of this meeting, and so that the gospel or the knowledge can spread further to other people who missed the information session. So and the next session will come in February. We're not sure of the topic, but just watch out on our social media pages, our YouTube channel, well, the Instagram, the Facebook, and the LinkedIn Red Meat Industry Services channel, so that you can be able to track down the other events that are coming in. So for me, I'll say thank you very much for being with us tonight, and I appreciate your contribution, and I'm looking forward to you implementing everything that we spoke about, and so that we can work together as farmers and industry stakeholders. Thank you very much. Good night. Bye, Dangi. Thank you very much. Goodbye.